It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! Did he get it?
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen on a Friday. At least that's what the calendar tells me. Welcome to Friday, everyone.
I know. It's been a weird week. Like you said earlier, when you have those holidays in the middle or the end of the week, other days just seem off. So we had Monday off, and today I don't know, it felt weird. It felt weird all week.
Yeah, it's been pretty weird all week, but we do have, for the start of today's show, we have a wonderful guest. We've been having a lot of different head coaches from local high schools on. There's been a lot of success in the Valley, a lot of teams winning state titles, and we like to try and bring those coaches on. And the latest in that great line of success, and this isn't his first rodeo in terms of winning state championships, Bear River softball head coach Calvin Bingham. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, so you guys win the state title. I believe that was your 11th state title in softball, at least as head coach of Bear River.
Kind of unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an amazing record.
I think it was like 24 years as a head coach, or
24.
So you almost average a championship every other year.
Yeah, we actually only had state tournament 23 years because of COVID. So 2020 we didn't have a state tournament, didn't have a season. Actually, we played one game that year. I had a granddaughter who played for Snow Canyon, and before we went to the St. George tournament the night before, we played Snow Canyon. And I'm not sure. It seems to me the score was 5-4 for Snow Canyon, and my son reminds me that I had one losing season. So
one losing season. I say you guys probably would have bounced back from that, won the championships. We'll just make that 12 championships, and we'll go with that. But I guess that's probably too many championships for us to go down memory lane for each one. So let's maybe focus, at least to start with, on kind of this most recent one. What was it like for this team? I know with 11 titles, maybe they all kind of meld together as far as how unique they are. But just tell us a little bit about this year's team and their path to winning a state title.
Well, of course, last year we lost to Ridgeline. We beat them both times in region play, and I kind of had an impression that we weren't ready for state. It just seemed like we weren't focused like we needed to be, and Ridgeline played really well and beat us, and it was disappointing where we had beat them both times in region. We lost a lot of seniors, so we were really young this year. We started 5 sophomores, 2 juniors, and 2 seniors, and it took us a while to get organized, find out where we wanted to put people. The first time we played Ridgeline, we lost 10-9. Made a couple of really bad errors that cost us dearly, and I felt like that we should have won. The second time we played Ridgeline, they just plain beat us. It was close. They beat us 5-2, but there was no question that they were the better team that day. When we got beat the first game 3-2 in state, I still was fairly confident of what we could accomplish because it was close. It was kind of a the winning run was a line drive that ricocheted off our third baseman's mitt and went to the deepest part of the field, and of course she got a home run on it, and so I felt pretty good. Plus the fact that the first year we won state back in 2001, we had to come through the losers bracket. We played Twilla, and my best recollection, I think we beat them 1-0 in the first game, and the second game we beat them 7-1. 2 years ago, when we played Twilla, we lost the first game 5-0, beat them the next day 4-2, and then the last game we beat them 14-6. So I felt like that if we could get that first game on Saturday, I felt like we would win because we'd kind of be on a roll, and that's really what happened.
Coach, you had certainly a long, illustrious coaching career, but looking over the last few years, really crazy times for a coach, and especially for student athletes. You had, as you mentioned earlier, you had the COVID year that wiped out your season, which I always feel awful for any spring sport athletes and how that affected them. But we had, I don't want to call it a repeat, but we had another situation this year where I've heard other coaches refer to it as snowvid, where it was just really hard to get on a field to play any games because we had record snow this year, and it just kept coming and was relentless. How did that affect your team in kind of getting going into a rhythm of what you wanted coming into the season, and how hard was it to find a field to get on?
Well, we played, went down to St. George and played, had a good experience there. Then we played Weber, and Weber spent a lot of time trying to get their field ready. And the day we played them, it was so cold that we were miserable. And when I got my pickup, after we came home from Weber High School, when I got my pickup to drive home, it said 32 degrees. And there was a brisk breeze down there that made it even worse than that. And then nothing. Last year we had the same problem because they were doing some work on our field, putting in a new scoreboard, putting in some turf around the dugouts, and just a lot of work that they were doing. And so we didn't get on our field till about somewhere around the 8th of April. This year was a lot the same way. And I think when they had finally released the tournament schedule, we had practiced on our field one day.
Wow. The
rest of the time we had games, makeup games, and so I hate that kind of a situation because I feel like that you need to have a couple of days of practice to work on things that maybe you were having struggles with. And so, yeah, this was the last 2 years for us at Bear River has been a real challenge.
So, one thing I didn't kind of mention in the beginning is this is going to be your last year. You mentioned, 24 years, 11 championships. This is your last year. You've decided to retire from at least coaching softball. And I guess kind of one of the questions I had is what kind of made you decide to do that? Or when was the moment you finally decided this is going to be it?
Well, I've coached at Bear River for about 41 years. I coached wrestling. I enjoyed wrestling, but at the time I was assistant principal, and we had one particular family that was attending our school. They had a son that was, to be honest, a crook, and one day we had a problem with him, and my principal was away at district meetings, and he didn't get back before I left to go to wrestling practice. And when he came back, this father was in raising Cain over the situation with his son. And the next day when I came to work, the principal said, "Calvin, it's got to be either coaching or administration." And at the time I had, 6 boys. I'm LDS. I was hoping they'd go on missions. I told them I was their boss until they got their master's degree, so we had a lot of. So I just quit coaching and focused on administration. And then in 2000, when the job came open, I had a new principal, and lucky for me, Carl Starr was his name, a wonderful administrator and a good friend. He came to me and said, if you want to apply for this job, softball, I'll support you 100%. Go for it. And so I did. But the reason I finally decided that maybe I want to quit is I'm tired of bus rides. It just seemed like the job was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I retired from Box Elder School District 13 years ago, but kept coaching. And I just thought it was time. I'd like to spend a little more time with my wife and my grandkids. And so that was a decision. Plus the fact I had one assistant. I've had the real blessing of working with Stan Haramoto, who died from COVID, and Troy Haramoto, who used to play a lot of softball, and they've been my assistants and just great people who understood the game. And I think they were, at least Troy was getting tired, and he was getting up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work so he could come back and coach. And so I think we just both felt like maybe it was time.
Well, what is it? Over 504 victories, 11 state titles. I think you've earned that right to call your own shot there. But that is an amazing career, and I know that there have been a number of athletes that have come through your program and gone on to play collegiately and have great careers. What's that been like for you? Just the satisfaction of seeing somebody come into your program, a raw prospect, and then by the time that you're done with them, you're sending them off to a higher level to continue to compete.
Well, it's satisfying, but I'm not sure that anymore they come in raw. We've had a lot of wonderful coaches that have worked with them in 10U, 12U, 14U, and I love fast pitch softball. I was introduced to it when I was just a young boy, back when the LDS Church had a program, and they used to have fast pitch for the young men. And I grew up just through the field from Crystal Springs, and we had a pasture in front of our house. We used to play ball there, and it so happened that our ward was going to play for a state championship, play against Brigham 7th, I think it was. And they invited me to come. It wasn't because I was going to get to play, really. It was in case they had problems and needed an extra guy, because I played a lot in the pasture, and so I could at least catch the ball. But we had a young man from, actually, I don't know where he was from. He came to live with his grandfather, who had honeybees, and he was the pitcher, and he was really good. And I thought, what happens next year if he doesn't come to work with his grandfather? We won't have a pitcher, so I better learn how to pitch. And so I did, and I just learned to love the game. And I think that, it's once somebody really gets involved in the game, they just learn to really love it. And we've had some great players go on and play in college, and I hope some of them come back and raise their kids in the Valley so that they can play, and maybe even some of them be involved in coaching.
We're talking to Bear River softball, I guess technically soon to be former Bear River softball head coach Calvin Bingham. He's retiring after a very long and successful career, and I guess when you decided to call it quits, because I believe you made the decision before the end of the season, right?
Yeah, I actually went in and told the principal about 2 weeks before. I said, just keep it quiet. I don't want it to affect the girls or anything. Just But at the end of the year, I think I'm going to hang it up. And so,
Yeah. So I guess, is there really any better way like to finish out your career than with a state title? Because I mean, for a lot of coaches at every level, sometimes their career just kind of ends with a bit of a whimper. They have a couple of mediocre seasons at the end, but you're walking out on top.
Well, if you get to leave with a win as their last game.
Yeah.
it was really satisfying. I felt like Ridgeline had a tremendous season, and we had a great season. We never lost to a 5A or 6A team. We beat both the 5A and 6A state champions. We beat 5 or 6 of the top 8 seeds in 5A and 2 of the top seeds in 6A. So we had a great year.
So what you're saying is you are the best softball team in the state of Utah.
No, I I've always felt that Spanish Fork was as tough as anybody, but Ridgeline was really good this year. And, I think the reason we were successful in state is their top 3 batters were really tough. And in state, we were able to keep them off the base paths for the most part. But they were talented, and if they got on base, you might as well just stop the game and put them on third because they were so fast and talented. And, if they end up on third, it's pretty hard to keep them from scoring. But we kept them off for the most part, and that really helped us. And then our top of our order hit really well. We had some that hit 600, and then the bottom half of our order came through with clutch hits, and that's what helped us. But a great way to end, at least for me. It was very satisfying.
You've kind of talked about your journey just playing the game from when you were a kid, learning how to, playing in the fields and the pastures, learning how to pitch, and then getting involved in coaching. But as you've been a coach, a head coach at Bear River these past 24 years, how have you seen the game change or evolve over that time? Or has it? Is it kept pretty much the same?
It has really changed. I remember when we first started, girls pitching, a lot of times the coaches were begging for strikes. I'm a little bit before I started coaching, and girls really struggled with pitching strikes. They didn't hit as well. They didn't throw like, I tell them, don't throw like a girl, throw like an athlete. And but now, boy, they can hit, they throw, and back then, a lot of times girls pitching didn't rotate their hips and really whip it. But now the good pitchers, they do all of that like they're supposed to. So it's really improved.
Is that more just the development of the game, kids starting sooner, or just more understanding of how to be more effective in the game?
I think that, and I also think it's coaching. I think that these kids are seeing coaches earlier and more often, and so I think it's both.
So kind of final question for me, I guess, just I always like to ask, people who've had long careers, like what memories really stick out? You've obviously gone over several of those memories already, but just memories of past seasons, championships, what kind of sticks out to you that you're going to keep looking back on over and over, things you remember about your time?
Well, the last, 5 or 6 state championships have been really tough, hard-fought games. 2012, we played Spanish Fork. The High School Activities Association told me that they had never had so many calls from people wanting to know when teams were going to play. They wanted to know when Spanish Fork and Bear River were going to play. That was the year it rained a lot, and so we played Spanish Fork, I think, on a Friday, beat them, I think it was like 9-8 in 9 innings. Saturday they postponed it. We went to Salt Lake Community College, played the championship there. First game, Spanish just shelled us 16-0 in 3 innings. And I thought, holy cow, this is going to be hard to come back from. We turned around the next game, and our first 7 batters got on. 8th batter got out but knocked in a run. 9th batter got out, knocked in a run. We ended up beating them 8-0. 2016, we played Juab. Juab had a really good team, and we beat them twice, 2-1. They had their pitcher went on and played at BYU. She was one of the leaders in home runs, and if she came up to bat with somebody on, we walked her. If there was nobody on, we pitched to her. But afterwards, her grandmother came up and chewed on me about walking her intentionally. But Juab was really good that year. 2018, we played Spanish again for state championship. I think that year Spanish was ranked as high as either 13th or 17th in the nation. They had a lot of girls that were D1 prospects, and we beat them 5-4. Just a great game. 21, Tooele was favored. They were ranked number 1 in the state the whole year. So the last, from 12 on, they have really been memorable. They've been hard fought against really good teams, and it's been really satisfying to have the outcome that we had.
So what's next for you?
Well, I got a granddaughter that played for Snow Canyon. She's coming off her mission in about 10 days, and she's had a few offers to play college ball. Really good athlete. She, in fact, we eliminated in 2021. We eliminated them in the semifinals. She had been running track and playing softball, and as soon as we eliminated them, she went over and ran track and had 2 firsts, a second, and a third in state, and got 14 points and beat Desert Hills by 1 point. My niece actually coaches at Desert Hills, and she cussed me for eliminating them from the. But she's a good athlete, and she kind of indicated that she wants to play college ball. I got a grandson down Pleasant Grove that wrestles that I think has the potential to be really good. I want to go watch him, and I got lots of grandkids that go to BYU, and I love to go to the ball games and take my grandkids and spend time with them. So that's kind of what we plan on. I don't know what else we'll do, but
Chasing grandkids is going to keep you pretty busy from from what I understand.
The grind won't stop, but you won't be doing it in a bus ride anymore.
That's right. You can control the air conditioning and the music a little better.
Be a lot easier. But
sorry, just one last question for me too is just you've announced that you're moving on and you're moving into another chapter for your life. But what's the next chapter for Bear River softball? What's that process like of selecting a new coach? Do you know?
Well, I talked to the principal this morning, and I think they'll have several applicants. In fact, one of the applicants in fact, 2 of them were girls that have played for me. One of them played college for 4 years, and the other one didn't play college, but she was really good. So I'm sure that they're going to be able to find a really good coach. So I'm sure that there's some other people there that'll be applying. They just opened it up just recently, so I think there'll be some really good people there, and I think they'll keep going.
With the track record of success that you built, I'm sure it's got to be a pretty high level interest in being able to take on that legacy that you already built.
Well, it'll be kind of fun to go watch the games and not have to worry about all the details that go with it. So
You'll sit in the stands where you find yourself yelling out advice.
I'm going to sit in the old folks section and
Try your best to stay quiet, but maybe you can't always control that. The instincts may be too great. But.
Well, I had an experience when I was in college where I kind of mouthed off and got kicked out of a game. And after the game, I said to my wife, let's go. And she said, you go ahead and go. I'm not walking with you. You embarrass me. And I thought, that's got to change. And so I don't say much to the umps. Once in a while I'll tell them it's a little high or a little low. But for the most part, I don't say much. And
See, I'm kind of a hypocrite because I did refereeing. I did, basketball and soccer. Those are sports that I play. As a referee, I was like, oh, people should treat the referees nice. But then I go play those sports, and I'm like yelling at the referees. He'd be like, "You." So I'm a horrible hypocrite when it comes to that.
Well, I did. The next week went and apologized to the people that I had been yelling at. I was embarrassed, and my wife kind of put me in my place. So.
Well, Coach, thanks for coming over and spending some time with us. Congratulations, not only on your 11th state title this spring, but a really long and successful career representing Bear River, the Bear River area, and just great success and how you've helped a lot of young people achieve great things, and you've been a big part of that. So appreciate the level of success that you've had and taking some time out of your day to come over and spend some time with us too.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll continue the show here on 106.9 The Fan.
The new Prodigy Brewing on Center Street in Logan offers an atmosphere that's vibrant, energetic, and friendly. Serving handmade juicy burgers, wood-fired pizzas, wings, nachos, and locally crafted beer while bringing a unique space to downtown Logan. Now offering lighter lunch options like personal-sized pizzas and sliders, or choose from your favorites like wings, beer cheese, fried pickles, and more. Stop by for a quick and delicious lunch that will get you back to work on time. Experience Prodigy Brewing, exceptional food, extraordinary service, and family-friendly on Center Street in downtown Logan.
As a small business, achieving your financial goals and ambitions can be a steep and rocky mountain climb. This is Lance Zollinger, president at Cache Valley Bank. To conquer the mountain and achieve your goals, it takes planning, hard work, and discipline. At Cache Valley Bank, we have the resources, expertise, and flexibility to help you scale your way to success. Give us a call. Let's work together and climb the mountains that await. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
With inflation at record highs, why buy new if you can repair your current machine? Daryl's Appliances factory-trained technicians spend hundreds of hours in training each year to ensure your appliance is repaired right the first time. You can have peace of mind. They offer no-risk service, meaning if you want to purchase new, instead of repair, you can apply up to $95 of your service call towards an appliance purchase. See store for details. Daryl's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is locally owned and operated inside the beautiful new Three Peaks Medical Plaza in North Logan. Expect the most cutting-edge techniques, qualified doctors, and friendly staff to ensure the highest quality patient care. The ENT providers have extensive training to properly treat ear, nose, and throat conditions for adults and children. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat serves all of northern Utah and southern Idaho, accepting most insurance products including SelectMed. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for appointments and details. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, located in North Logan and Providence.
Come party with your dog at the Cache Canines Care event this Saturday at Mack Park in Smithfield from 9 a.m. until noon. All proceeds from this amazing dog event support the local rescue, New Vision Intake and Shelter, Cache Valley's home for stray and abandoned dogs. Join the fun with the dog obstacle course for all abilities, police dog demonstrations, obedience competitions, local pet vendors with professional advice and merchandise, plus chances to win prizes. This event is for all dogs and abilities. No special training or talents required. Admittance is $10 per dog. Don't miss the Cache Canines Care event this Saturday at Mack Park in Smithfield from 9 a.m. until noon. Supporting Cache Valley's home for stray and abandoned dogs, New Vision Intake and Shelter. For questions, go to Cache Canines Care on Facebook.
That's Cache Canines Care.
If you can't make it to the event and would still like to donate, please direct message through that page.
Summer is finally here. How do you protect your eyes from the sun? Crystal Vision, a Best of Northern Utah 2-time gold medalist, can build prescription sunglasses that match your style and feel. Crystal Vision sunglasses are perfect for golf, a drive in the car, watching ball games, or when you're out for a walk. Whatever your activity, their prescription sunglasses are made from the highest quality materials and components and feature interesting styles and lens colors. Your sunglasses will feel like they were made for you. Crystal Vision. Online at crystalvision.com.
Hello, this is Deputy Stella from the Cache County Sheriff's Office inviting you to join us for the annual Special Olympics Torch Run, Monday, June 5th from 6:30 to 7:30 at Merlin Olson Park. Come run with local first responders, Special Olympic athletes, and more. To participate, just purchase a Torch Run t-shirt. The link and more information can be found on Facebook by searching Cache County Special Olympics Torch Run. There will be a pizza party immediately after. Plan to join us Monday, June 5th from 6:30 to 7:30 at Merlin Olson Park for the annual Special Olympics Torch Run.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Many thanks again to Calvin Bingham, the soon-to-be former Bear River softball head coach. He's retiring, calling it quits after this most recent season where he won the 4A state championship for the 11th time as head coach of the Bears. We were able to have him on. If you didn't catch the full conversation, we'll have that posted shortly. It'll be its own independent section along with being part of our full hour podcast that we post later. But yeah, that was a really fun interview. I always enjoy talking to these coaches, especially, when you talk to coaches who've been coaches for like a long time. Mm-hmm. It's just wonderful because they have just so many stories to tell, and I just like sitting there listening to people tell stories.
I'm sure if both he and us had more time, then we could have unlocked a lot more stories. I mean, you don't coach that long and not have a lot of stories.
Yeah, and even unbidden, he was telling a lot of stories. He answered several of my questions before I even asked them. Just how he got into coaching and different things like that, and how he encountered a sport like softball. Because for as guys, we're usually doing baseball, which obviously is mostly the same thing as softball. But you don't think of getting into coaching softball. But he gets into playing softball and just ends up coaching it too. So it's always it's always fun to be able to have some people tell their stories, because it's one of the reasons why I'm in this business is storytelling, and it's not always me telling the story.
Yeah, so a very long, very successful career. Box Elder County has produced a lot of great athletes coming out of Bear River High School, just conversation in the hallway there. We were talking about development of youth athletes and coaching, and excited to see what the next chapter will look like for Bear River. Softball has definitely been one of the crown jewels in their crown of successful programs, and consistently always very competitive. So hopefully that continues for Bear River.
Yeah, and they're pretty well set up. I think he mentioned during the interview, but even before the show we were talking, he was like, yeah, they're probably going to be pretty good next year. Started like 5 sophomores, a couple of juniors, had a sophomore pitcher. It's like, yeah, they'll probably be pretty good next year. Starting a bunch of sophomores and they win the state title. So anyway, moving on to in the rest of our show, we had NBA Finals Game 1 yesterday. That's probably one of the biggest topics. We'll also try and get to Pick 6. We didn't do that yesterday. Just kind of ran out of time. We'll try and get to that today. So I guess we can start with NBA Finals, although I want to call it our text line, but I'm logged out of our text line, so I can't read it off.
Oh, no.
I checked it on your screen really quickly but in the breaks, but I don't think we got any text in.
Nothing's come in just yet, so
okay.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, if you guys want to text into the show, it's like 435-339. I can't remember the last 4 digits.
0321.
That's what I thought it was. I was afraid whether or not it was correct, though. So you can text it in, any comments on NBA Finals. But, we're about to give our reactions to Game 1. But the weird thing is, my philosophy, as I said over and over and over again, is never react to Game 1.
Yeah, it was interesting just coming into the series. I thought that Miami would keep it closer than the 9 points that was on the spread. Denver ends up winning it by 11 points. So I was off. But, I mean, good portion of that game, it looked like it was going to be way off. I mean, Denver just took control of the game and was unrelenting. They won 3 of the 4 quarters, and they had a healthy lead. The big question, 9 days off for Denver, how well would they perform? They looked just fine. They looked totally fine. Yeah, it wasn't a big offensive output, not a big scoring margin for them, but it was a good defensive effort. They had juice in those legs. Like, they could still move around. Well, maybe some guys didn't shoot it as well as they have at other times during the postseason. Defensively, they were on point, and they just had Miami scrambling with trying to figure out where was Jokic going to pass the ball next.
Yeah, and I think something you pointed out is the size of Denver. Talking about that yesterday, and that ended up being true. They just couldn't handle the size, and I thought maybe the versatility of their team would work out to their favor, and it didn't. They didn't have the versatility to guard everybody. Now, they couldn't guard Aaron Gordon in the post when they were switching certain players onto them. They couldn't guard Jokic when certain players were switching on them. They only have a couple of players that could kind of hang with Jokic in the half court, and so there are a lot of potential issues for the Heat. But the thing is, and this is why I never react to game 1, or at least overreact. You can obviously observe and see what kind of things are happening. So in game 1, Denver had the clear advantage. They have some mismatches they can take advantage of. There's some consistent things they were able to do to get buckets just about whenever they wanted, or at least open looks, because they didn't make all of their open looks in game 1. They didn't shoot particularly well, especially from 3.
Right.
But the thing is, this ain't Eric Spoelstra's first run in the NBA Finals. He is a good coach. And when you get into the finals, you're going to have 2 really good coaches, and they're going to make adjustments. The gaping holes that might have been there in Miami's defense, a couple of adjustments here, an adjustment there, and suddenly game 2, Miami might be just lock down Denver on defense and maybe completely flip the script. Maybe it doesn't happen, and if that's the case, then Miami's probably in real trouble. But just because something happened in game 1 doesn't mean Eric Spoelstra can't go to the film room, work on some things, and have something ready for game 2. And if not by game 2, maybe by game 3. Because I think one thing with this series, especially with Miami and how many games they've played and maybe being a bit worn out, I think that gap between game 2 and game 3, which I think it'll be like 2 or 3 days or something like that, where I think they only get the 1 day off between game 1 and game 2, right?
So looking at this, the schedule is they had game 1 last night. Game 2 isn't until Sunday. And so they'll have a couple of days off, and then game 3 will be a Wednesday, game 4 on Friday. So it's kind of interesting how that...
So they get a bit of a longer break between game 1 and game 2.
Yeah.
And like the same, well, I guess, 2 days in between game 2, game 3, and then just 1 day in between game 3 and game 4. Which I think that schedule probably plays into Miami's hands a little bit because they could use a little bit more rest, and especially after game 1, a little bit of time to game plan and figure things out, and give a coach enough time, get his players some rest, give him time to analyze the film from game 1. In Miami, despite just looking outclassed in game 1 for much of the game, I think we'll have a really good chance of winning game 2. Doesn't mean they will. Denver is really good.
Well, and Miami they're going to focus on what did they do in the fourth quarter. And that might get a little bit overblown, but they were making shots. They were more efficient. They were more effective. They outscored Denver 30-20 in the fourth. But at that point, Denver had a pretty healthy lead.
Yeah.
Not saying that they just let off the gas, but when you have that kind of a lead in the fourth quarter and you're in your house, maybe the intensity level isn't quite as much as it was earlier in the game. But there are some things that Miami can look to. Like, look, it took us a few quarters, but we started to figure some things out. Then we're going to be able to stay here at elevation. And if our guys were just gassed from previous series that we've gone through and now being above sea level, 5,000 feet above sea level, give us a little bit more time to catch our breath, quite literally and figuratively. Game 2 could be a very different scenario. We talked about players that need to play a big game and see how this series may hinge. Bam Adebayo was somebody I felt needed to play big for Miami, and he was about the only one who played big for Miami last night. He had a huge game, but he didn't really have a lot of help. And I think that game one, a bit of an anomaly, but we'll see how Miami adjusts to make this game a little bit more interesting, the series more interesting. But for Denver, I got to give credit to Gordon. I thought he was great. Taking advantage of mismatches. And Jokic was fantastic in being a playmaker. And that was the other thing I said, if Miami wants to have a chance in this one, they can't have Jokic be a playmaker. And the guy racked up another triple-double with 14 assists on the night.
Set a record for assists in an NBA Finals debut and most assists by a center in a finals game. So, yeah.
Not too shabby.
He did pretty well as a playmaker.
Speaking of which, 5253 texting in, next pick six should be how many triple-doubles from the Joker in the finals? I take the over, just saying.
Just the over? Okay, I'm setting the over-under at 7.5. I win.
Yeah, there you go.
We need to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion on the NBA Finals here on 1390 AM, 106.9 FM, The Fan.
Imagine your wedding day. Elegant, simple, yet stunning, stress-free. It's your day. It's all about you. Whether you're looking for small and simple or have a grander idea, the Riverwoods Conference Center will accommodate your every need. Choose the inside ballroom elegance or outside along the natural decor of the beautiful Logan River. A Riverwoods event planner will work personally with you to make sure your event is exactly how you've envisioned it. The Riverwoods Conference Center, where your happily ever after begins. Google Riverwoods Conference Center or call 750-5151.
Ladies, do you have your men's ring yet? We know that he got you the perfect ring, so let's get him one that will show how much you care, such as a one-of-a-kind Damascus steel, his choice of camo, or an exquisite redwood inlay. And if you really want something out of this world, come check out our meteorite rings. For the largest selection of unique men's rings, make it special, make it Jarek's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
Forget the weather this summer with York Home Comfort Systems. Now's your chance to get local rebates, financing options, and industry-leading manufactured-back warranties on your new home comfort system. Plus, you can get up to $2,000 in tax credits with IRA 25C federal tax credit. Installing a York Home Comfort System's even more affordable. Maximize your savings and forget the weather this summer. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning Showroom is west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
There are some holidays I just wonder about. Columbus Day, Groundhog Day, Talk Like a Pirate Day, Arr! Pi Day for you math nerds. But there's one holiday I do get geeked up about. National Donut Day. This Friday is National Donut Day. That's something I can celebrate. Friday, buy a dozen Johnny O's Bud Nuts. And if you find a golden ticket inside the box, you'll get free Johnny O's Bud Nuts for the next year. National Donut Day, Friday at Johnny O's.
Johnny O's Bud Nuts.
With more ways than ever to connect to news and entertainment, did you know that 90% of new car buyers want the tried and true AM/FM radio option? That's because your local radio stations are reliable, trustworthy, and bring you a local connection that can't be replicated. Not to mention, we're totally free. No subscription or cellular data required. More than 80 million Americans each month depend on AM for their news, weather, and entertainment. So join us by texting AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Full Court Press, Jason Walker, Eric Frandsen. Continuing our discussion, reactions to Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Not as much local to talk about, but we did get to start the show. First about 25 minutes of the show, we were able to focus on a local story of Calvin Bingham, Bear River softball head coach, soon to be retiring, and just talking about his long extended tenure as the head coach at Bear River, and is
very successful.
Yeah, very successful. That's the biggest thing, and then his most recent success being the 4A state title, which should be his final. His final game was winning the 4A state title for the 11th time as head coach. So you can check out that interview later today. But just talking NBA Finals, I know you kind of mentioned, you talk about Bam Adebayo having a big game, and I know we focused a lot yesterday on the not obvious players that needed to have big games, but it felt like for Miami, the story was, well, their star didn't actually seem to perform. They got some decent performances from Bam Adebayo and even some others. Jimmy Butler just didn't feel like he was nearly as assertive as he needed to be. He's a guy who's kind of developed a bit of a reputation for carrying the heat in a lot of these cases, with all the undrafted players and whatnot. He just carries the team. He, played 48 minutes, get like 35 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3, rack up stats. Didn't really feel like he was really carrying the team. It felt like he was a little more passive than maybe he should have been. Wasn't really hunting and being aggressive in the way that we've kind of begun to expect Jimmy Butler to be. And it feels like that was a bit of the downfall of the Heat in Game 1, and it feels like that's actually something that needs to change. More so than help for Jimmy Butler needs to be pulling the weight that's kind of been expected of him. Although perhaps that's unfair. Maybe he's been carrying more than his load and finally needs some help. Maybe he shouldn't be expected to be playing hero ball for, 4 straight series.
Well, if I'm Michael Malone, I find every clip I can of somebody trying to get in Jimmy Butler's face and agitate him. With Exhibit A, what Grant Williams did in, what was that, Game 2 or Game 3? I can't remember which. And Boston had the lead, and Grant Williams gets in Jimmy Butler's face, and Jimmy Butler just unlocks the next level when that happens, and he gets mad, and he takes over, and he led his team to a victory. So I show this all to my team and say, do not engage with Jimmy Butler. Don't give him a reason to get mad at you and try to prove a point. Be competitive, but don't intentionally pick a fight. Don't get this guy to go to that level, because we've seen what he's done to his opponents, and we don't need to go there.
Don't get him angry.
Yes.
You don't like him when he's angry. Nobody except Heat fans and his teammates like Jimmy Butler when he's angry. Heck, some of his teammates may not like him when he gets angry, if the stories are true.
Yeah, that's legendary.
He's a very intense player who seems to be one of those players that just plays better when he gets angry and he gets concentrated. He concentrates more and just focuses, and he's able to play very intelligently in a lot of cases, even if he's playing at a very intense level. He's playing intense but deliberate, which feels like two mutually exclusive things.
Yeah. The thing is about Denver's lineup, I don't really see anybody on their roster who's that kind of character. We saw it in
agitator?
we saw it in the Memphis-LA series and how that took a nasty turn for Memphis when they tried doing that. We've seen how it affected Boston when they tried doing that. I don't really see that Denver has somebody on their roster that's their role. They don't have a guy that does that.
Yeah, they just play really good basketball, and I feel like it's maybe why the media doesn't pay attention to them, because they don't have a Dylan Brooks on their team. But Denver's just really good. They just play the best basketball, and that's what they did in Game 1. It wasn't fancy, wasn't dramatic. It was just really good basketball. And it may end up carrying them to a championship. Then we've got to take another break. When we come to the other side, we're going to do Pick 6, try and predict 6 different things that happen over this upcoming weekend. We'll be back after this.
Advanced Fireplace and Stove wants to thank you for voting them 2 years running the gold medal winners in the Best of Northern Utah contest. With over 35 display models in their showroom, their goal is to make the process of making your home comfortable and cozy an easy experience. With premier brands like Napoleon and Dimplex, they have something for every style, every home, every budget. Building or renovating, they've got you covered. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, where comfort is their business.
No matter what the conditions, DD Auto and Salvage can get your vehicle up and off your property. Now is the time to plan to make extra cash by calling DD Auto and Salvage and moving that old vehicle. Let them pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy to get rid of your junker vehicles, paying you the most money possible. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
Les Olson IT structured cabling is second to none. Tired of old and inefficient cabling? Have an upgrade or remodel planned? Building a new network from the ground up? We offer the very best in low voltage cabling installation, including data, phone, fiber optic, and more. Ask us how to get your free consultation today.
Les Olson IT.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. Life is good. Life at My Mattress is good too. Why might I say that? Because today is a good day to slay a Goliath. The other day I went into a mattress store here in Logan that has 2,500 stores across the country. I'd say that's a Goliath. We were 20% less expensive on every bed that we both offer. We may not have 2,500 stores, but we are number one in Cache Valley. Better product and better prices. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Hi, this is Jay Broadbent. If you use a CPAP, need a walker or a wheelchair, or just need some assistance around your home, then this announcement's for you. Alpine Home Medical is opening a new store in Tooele. We're planning on opening our doors this summer. Check us out on social media at AlpineHME or alpinehomemedical.com to stay up to date.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
That's alpinehomemedical.com.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Welcome back, Full Court Press. Time for the Pick Six, where we try and pick the, pick six different things, hence the name. Anyway, let's see if I can do the intro right here.
I bet you $20 I can get no way.
It's the Full Court Press Pick Six.
Ever since March Madness ended, I am so bored.
6 things we think will happen this weekend.
I don't know how the whole betting thing started, but it's fun.
Don't I always tell you there's always a mistake that I do? I forgot to stop the bump music. I was so excited that I finally knew how to play the intro for Pick Six that I forgot about the other stuff that was still playing. So there's my one mistake for the day.
It's all good. It's all done now. All right, so you won last week, right?
Yeah, I'll let you go first today.
Okay. So this is kind of an amendment to what I was going to do yesterday because there was a game that was played last night, so I have to change that. But I still have Caleb Martin on my mind for Game 2 for the Miami Heat. 17.5 points for Caleb Martin. Over or under?
I'm going to go under.
I'm going to take the over. He did not play well in Game 1, by the way.
He said 17.5 points?
But I've got 17.5 for Game 2. All right, the second one. Combined strikeouts on Saturday. This is the Cubs are in action. And Smiley and Darvish. So combined strikeouts between Smiley and Darvish. They're the projected starters. 8:10 p.m. on FS1 on Saturday. Setting the line at 12.5.
I have no reference on whether that's a good line. I'm going to go over.
I'm also going to take the over. And then the Montreal Alouettes, they take on the Hamilton Tiger Cats tonight in the Canadian Football League preseason. Montreal by 2.5.
Take Montreal to cover that.
I'm going to take Hamilton.
All right. Okay. So here's my three. Game 2, Denver-Miami, NBA Finals. Heat only took 2 free throws in Game 1. That's going to be a focus for Game 2. So let's say over-under 17.5 free throws taken by the Miami Heat in Game 2.
Attempted?
Yeah, attempted, yeah.
I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the under. Number 2, Manchester United and Manchester City play this weekend on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Manchester City by 1.5 goals.
I'm going to take the over.
So Manchester City to cover.
Yes.
I'm also going to take Manchester City. I was hoping you'd bite on that one. Manchester City's been pretty good this year. Man United has not been as good. Going to the WNBA, Las Vegas Aces against the Atlanta Dream tonight. Vegas by 11.5.
I'm going to take the under.
Okay. I'm going to take the Aces. So you've got the Dream. All right, so tiebreaker. This is also going to be Game 2 for the NBA Finals related. Combined points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Jamal Murray or Jimmy Butler. Who has more?
I'm going to go with Murray.
All right, I'll get Butler. That'll be it for today. Have a good one, guys.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The three-point shot has the ability to change the course of a game. If those shots are going in, you can expect to be putting up points in bunches. But when the shots aren't falling, keeping the game competitive is going to be difficult. Just look at how the Boston Celtics fared in the Eastern Conference Finals. But when you're a championship-caliber team, players and coaches are able to adapt, and that's exactly what we saw last night. As a team, the Nuggets shot just under 30% from three-point range, but Denver was still able to pull out an 11-point victory. The Nuggets refused to die by the three. The team was consistent at getting to the free throw line, attacked the paint with Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon, and continued to capitalize off turnovers. And if that's the type of basketball IQ we should expect from Denver this series, Miami better pick up its game quickly, because it appears Denver won't be making a similar mistake as the Celtics did. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.